Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 2 Part 266 based on novel. So let's start. Hoi Yu-hao couldn't ask any further. He put himself in their shoes. If he was any of them, he wouldn't have been able to accept fate. The malt wine arrived again. Long Xiaoyao gulped down more and more wine. An unhealthy flush surfaced on his face. The waiter hurriedly said, "Elder Long, drink slower. It's not good for your body if you drink too quickly." Long Xiaoyao shook his head softly. "Take the cup. I'm not drinking anymore. I'll just sit for a while longer." "All right, no problem. You and your friends can sit as long as you want." The waiter took the cup away. Long Xiaoyao opened his eyes once again. He looked at Hoi Yu-hao and Tang Wutong bitterly. It seemed like his story had ended. "I owe Shishui. This debt cannot be repaid. That was her first time. I owe Mu En too. I can't repay my debt to him either. Now, you should know why I'm committing all this evil. I knew that Shishui was killing with her Holy Ghost Church, but I still chose to protect her. I thought that I could forget, but I can't. Even after seeing her for many decades, I can still remember everything clearly. That's why I can't stop her no matter what she does. I don't have that right. When I committed that grave error, my life didn't belong to me anymore. Compared to Mu En, Shishui was more hurt. I was the one who ruined her life. I love her and I'm willing to sacrifice everything for her. My life belongs to her too. I can only die before her. If she dies before me, I'll follow her. That's why no one can persuade me to leave her. My life has long been tied to hers." Long Xiaoyao's breathing became a little heavy. However, there was a relieved look on his face. It was his first time telling his story after so many years. Although he didn't finish his story, anyone could guess that what followed was a tragedy. Hoi Yu-hao was also having mixed feelings. He didn't know if he should pity the darkness holy dragon or feel sad for his teacher. Perhaps, this tragedy was an arrangement of fate. Long Xiaoyao stood up and said, "I should leave. Treasure the person in front of you, young man. Remember, find me when your cultivation reaches rank 98. I'll go and fetch Shishui now." After he finished speaking, he took big steps out. Hoi Yu-hao and Tang Wutong remained where they were without moving. The situation seemed to have become more complex. After listening to Long Xiaoyao and Yi Shishui's story, they still couldn't change their stance, even though they pitied her for what had happened. After all, Yi Shishui was the true mastermind of the Holy Ghost Church. Under her leadership, the Holy Ghost Church had killed many people. Even Long Xiaoyao was suspected of helping her. That was a fact that couldn't be wiped away. They weren't going to be less hostile, but they were more understanding. Hoi Yu-hao held Tang Wutong's hand and laughed bitterly. "All this while, I felt that we've suffered a lot. However, it's nothing compared to what teacher, Elder Long and Yi Shishui have gone through. We're quite lucky. At least we are together. I'm really satisfied now. I really want to leave with you and find a quiet place where we can live together. Occasionally, we can see our teammates. How great would that be?" Tang Wutong stood up and walked to Hoi Yu-hao's side. She sat in his lap and hugged his neck. She completely placed her face in his embrace. Hoi Yu-hao felt something wet. Tang Wutong's body was shaking slightly. She had been suppressing her emotions when Long Xiaoyao was telling his story earlier, but right now, she completely let them go. Teacher is really too pitiful. I can imagine why he fought so hard against the body sect. Given his abilities, he wouldn't be hurt so easily. If not to protect Shrek, he might have chosen to free himself already. The pain he's been through must be even deeper than what Elder Long has been through. Tang Wutong said softly. Hoi Yu-hao silently nodded. Mu En had never told them about what happened between him, Yi Shishui and Long Xiaoyao before. He had kept this secret to himself until the day he died. In Hoi Yu-hao's mind, Elder Mu's figure resurfaced. He recalled his elderly face, and Hui Yuhao's eyes started to turn red. Sun Moon Empire, Imperial Palace. Yi Shishui was seated, and held a cup of tea in her hand. She was silently tasting the tea. The Sun Moon Empire's Imperial Palace was very particular when it came to serving tea. Only the best tea leaves that were half-fermented were chosen. They were specially prepared. Every year, there was very little production of such tea leaves. Only members of the imperial family were given the privilege to enjoy such tea. Yi Shishui was very calm right now. Xu Qianran was sitting in the main seat. Beside him was Zhu Zi. Elder Yi, this matter might really be a misunderstanding. I still hope that you can be magnanimous. I'm willing to make amends to the church. If there's anything you need, please tell me. Xu Qianran appeared very courteous, and spoke with a smile on his face. Zhu Zi was also decked in bright yellow beside him. She didn't say a word. She didn't even react at all. Yi Shishui put the cup of tea down. She turned to Zhu Zi and said, Your Majesty, what if I want someone? What if I only want one person? Xu Qianran's expression stiffened. Even though he knew who Yi Shishui wanted, he still asked, Who do you want? Yi Shishui laughed coldly, I want Her Majesty to follow me to the Holy Ghost Church. Is that possible? Zhu Zi sat there calmly and seemed to be completely ready to comply with any instructions Xu Qianran had for her. There was no expression on her face. Xu Qianran's expression changed slightly, and he replied, Elder Yi, I'm afraid that cannot happen. My inner palace is too empty. I only have the Empress. We are very close to each other. This incident is a little weird. Why don't we talk after investigating carefully? Yi Shishui waved him off and said, There's no need to. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find an excuse. I don't expect you to investigate anything. Furthermore, from your actions, I know what your choice is. There is nothing else to say. I can understand what your Majesty is thinking. I was only joking earlier. Since you've decided to give us up, I only have one wish, which is for you to let the Holy Ghost Church off. I'm willing to leave the empire with the church. We just want peace. Xu Qianran was stunned as he looked at Yi Shishui. Was she still the death god Dolor he knew? This wasn't something he knew she was capable of saying. What's going on? Why is she acting like this? Yi Shishui lifted her teacup and took a sip once again. She sighed, I'm tired. I have no other wish in my life anymore. I just hope to live out the rest of my life in peace. Your Majesty, you have to admit that the church has contributed to the empire, even though we've brought you a lot of trouble. I hope this will make you show some mercy on us. I'll be satisfied then. Xu Qianran laughed and asked, Elder Yi, what are you talking about? Whether your church wants to stay or leave is up to you. No matter what, the church will always be a partner to the empire. It's just that, about your church being a national church. Yi Shishui laughed slightly. It's just a title. We don't need it. You can take it back. I came here today just to tell you that we won't seek any vengeance. We just hope to obtain peace. That's all I wanted to say. Your Majesty, please take care. I'm going to leave. Yi Shishui stood up and slowly walked out. She seemed to be a little slow, and she also appeared very old. Xu Qianran stood up and gestured. However, he didn't move a single inch. He only watched as the death god Dolor slowly walked out of the palace hall. Zhu Zi was doubtful as she looked at Xu Qianran. She softly asked, Your Majesty, do you think she's for real? Xu Qianran shrugged her off and revealed a cold smile on his face. Will she be so tame? The more she tries to look weak, the bigger the problem is. She's just trying to numb us. Not only do we have to carry on with our plan, but we need to be quicker with it too. A light flashed in Zhu Zi's eyes. So now? Xu Qianran nodded, and swiped his right hand down with force. Zhu Zi suddenly stood up and turned around before walking away. Yi Shishui revealed a relieved look on her face as she walked out of the palace hall. She had finally said what she had to say. It was really time for her to leave. No matter whether Xu Tianran believed her, what she had said was the truth. It was from the bottom of her heart. I'm really tired after all these years. I'm really tired. Teacher, no matter what, I've lived up to what you wanted. In the future, I only want to live them for myself and him. As Yi Shishui continued walking, she was no longer as sluggish as before. What replaced it was agility. It was an agility that appeared after she had put everything down. There was a smile on her face. Her pale white face developed a slight red glow. She could finally put everything down now. It was already afternoon. The sun was moving towards the west, but it was still shining very brightly. She chose to enter the palace at this time to express her sincerity. In fact, for an evil soul master like her, noontime did affect her, although it wasn't too big. Didididi. Deafening alarms rang throughout the entire palace without any warning. Yi Shishui suddenly stopped in her tracks. Her eyes turned cold. She knew what she was going to face next. Xu Tianran was still not going to let her off. She had given him such a good opportunity, perhaps even the last opportunity. However, he still made that choice. Xu Tianran, very good, very good. I really want to see what you can do to keep me here. As she smiled, Yi Shishui pointed her right hand to the sky and stood in pulse without moving. Behind her, a blood-red projection had already silently surfaced. It was her martial soul, the blood soul demon puppet. A strong wave of spiritual pressure spread from Yi Shishui's body. All infrastructure within 100-meter radius of her was instantly crushed. Very quickly, a massive plot of empty land was formed. Since they were already completely at odds, there was no need for Yi Shishui to show any mercy. At this moment, 4 strong beams of light shot into the sky. These 4 beams of light were presented as a rainbow glow. When they rose into the sky, they quickly gathered towards the center before turning into a huge dome that completely engulfed the imperial palace within it. Suddenly, a dazzling rainbow glow covered the imperial palace. It was as if a beam of divine light had descended. It was a magical feeling, but Yi Shishui's expression suddenly changed. As a Class 9 soul engineer, her understanding of soul tools was very deep, even though she didn't make her name producing soul tools. Moreover, this beam of light was very familiar. How could she not recognize high-energy compression array soul tools? Precisely because she recognized them, she was aware of how terrifying they could be. They were capable of protecting an entire city. No matter how strong a person was, he was still human. When it came to Yi Shishui's standard, she could even guess that a god had limited strength. It was just beyond the standard of humans. However, the strength of high-energy compression array soul tools could be increased without limits. Of course, perhaps this world might be destroyed if their strength was increased to a stage where even the ground couldn't take it anymore. Theoretically, it was unlimited. Perhaps that might not manifest itself in reality, but it was certainly enough to deal with an ultimate allure. Figures started to appear from within the imperial palace. There were pitch-black human-shaped soul tools and terrifying pressure, and immense soul power undulations started to spread. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion. It was the thumb of the hand that protects the nation. It was truly powerful. Apart from them, many soul engineers also rose into the sky along the perimeter of the palace. The Imperial Dragon, Evil Eye Tyrant, and Fire Phoenix Soul Engineer Legions were all here. More than 2,000 advanced-tier soul engineers had gathered within the Imperial Palace. An elder was drifting in mid-air at the centermost area of the palace. He was glaring at Yi Shishui. Kong. Da. Ming. Yi Shishui shouted one word by one word. Kong Deming stared at her coldly. Elder Yi, I knew that we'd fight one day. I just didn't think it would be so soon. Yi Shishui laughed. Her laughter was shrill, and hurt everyone's ears when they heard it. Yes. I've actually expected such a day to come. I just didn't expect Xu Tianran to completely ignore our past ties. He. It's not that I'm ignoring our past ties. It's just that we have no past ties to talk about. All these years, How many civilians have the Holy Ghost Church cruelly murdered? This time, you've even attacked the army, hurting the morale of my soldiers. We could have succeeded in one shot, but they had no choice but to return to the capital because of your attack. Elder Yi, do you know how many losses the Holy Ghost Church has brought to the Empire? I don't care about our past ties. Then, let me ask you, where were you and your church when Dubuzi was in the capital trying to kill me? I believe you wished I had died then. A chaotic empire is more beneficial for you, am I right? Xu Qianran was in a golden-yellow human-shaped soul tool as he drifted in mid-air. Around him were at least 10 Class 9 soul engineers. Juzi was half a step behind him. Yi Shishui's smile didn't disappear. If you want to condemn us, you can find any excuse to. Moreover, we can't even explain ourselves clearly even if all these dirty deeds have been blamed on us, given our reputation. War God Empress, your ploy is indeed brilliant. I just don't know one thing. When has the Holy Ghost Church offended you? She didn't look at Xu Tianran, but turned her attention to Ju Zi. Ju Zi said, the Holy Ghost Church didn't offend me. You offended my army, my citizens, and the peace of my empire. Evil cannot exist in an empire that's going to dominate the continent. No matter what reason you give, it's no longer important whether the Holy Ghost Church is the one that attacked the empire. More importantly, the Holy Ghost Church has to disappear from this world forever. It must not exist anymore. Yi Shishui was enlightened. It seems like your Majesty still wants to doom the church. I understand. What a strong formation. The father of soul tools, Kong Deming, is here. There are also many familiar faces and soul engineers, just to deal with me. It seems like your Majesty still regards me very importantly. I'm grateful. The only question is, can all of you keep me here today? If I leave today, I'll destroy one city every month, and use more avenging spirits to strengthen myself. I'll do this until the empire is completely wiped out. While she was smiling as she said all this, no one thought that she was bluffing. This was the scariest thing. The terrifying part wasn't the fact that she was being hysterical. The terrifying part was that there was a hint of rationality even though she was being hysterical. Xu Qianran's expression changed greatly. If Yi Shishui really escaped today, a disaster would befall the empire. In his heart, he slightly regretted his decision. After all, she was an ultimate Doluo. Even if he couldn't use her, she shouldn't have become his enemy. The consequences were really unthinkable. However, since things were already like this, there was no room for regret. No matter what, the plan had to proceed. Moreover, Xu Qianran also didn't think that she had a chance of survival. The Sun Moon Empire paid a huge price to set up this trap. The protective barrier formed by the 4 high-energy compression array soul tools was so that Yi Shishui couldn't flee. It was also used to keep Long Xiaoyao from coming to save her. They had even considered Long Xiaoyao's mentality when they came up with this plan. After all, he wasn't an evil soul master. He had his own bottom line. No matter what, he wouldn't lay his hands on ordinary citizens given his current status. As for how he would take revenge after Yi Shishui was killed, that was another matter. Ju Zi had informed him that Long Xiaoyao was hurt quite badly after the clash at the mountain valley. This was why this was a very rare opportunity that couldn't be missed. Kong Deming sighed and said, Yi Shishui, just from your words now, you deserve to die. Today, I'll restore justice on behalf of the heavens. I'll destroy your blood soul demon puppet. As he spoke, Kong Deming raised his hands towards Yi Shishui. A beam of golden light shot out. Yi Shishui snorted coldly. She lifted her hand too and pointed at Kong Deming, and a beam of blood-red light shot towards him. Terrifying soul power undulations rose from the outer perimeter. The soul engineers were accumulating their power. Against the death god Dolor, they had to give their all. This was why they had to use whatever strength they had. When the blood-red light was 5 meters from Kong Deming, it was blocked by a layer of golden light. The cries of countless avenging spirits echoed across the sky, but the golden light was not breached at all. The beam of golden light unleashed by condemning turned into a golden halo when it was 5 meters from Yi Shishui and was about to wrap itself around her. Yi Shishui's body suddenly turned illusory. In a flash, she escaped from the halo. The halo landed on the ground and disappeared without a trace. Yi Shishui's shrill laughter resonated throughout the entire palace. The blood soul demon puppet behind her shone brightly, and streaks of immense bloody lights were unleashed. They turned into giant avenging spirits in the air that rushed in all directions. Every avenging spirit was about the size of a human head. There were 12 of them. Once they appeared, a bloody rain seemed to strike the entire palace. Blood soul spell. This was the ultimate technique Yi Shishui was famous for. Every blood soul that she cultivated using this spell had been cultivated for centuries. 10,000 avenging spirits devoured one another, and the remaining survivor became a blood soul. This blood soul even had to feed on avenging spirits for a long time to become stronger. When a blood soul just formed, it was only the size of a fingernail. How long did it take for a blood soul to reach the size of a human head? Not only did it have to devour avenging spirits, but it even had to devour the avenging spirit of a powerful individual. The stronger an avenging spirit was, the faster a blood soul would grow. Once such blood souls acted up, their vengeance would cause one soul to lose control. Those whose cultivation wasn't strong enough might even experience their souls being drawn out from their bodies before being devoured. These blood souls were both domineering and vicious. The fight had only just started, but Yi Shishui had already unleashed her strongest skill. This showed that she was prepared to risk her life. Kong Deming turned serious when he saw the blood souls. 1 person to 1. We must seal them and not let them escape. As he spoke, he lifted his hands. They each fired a beam of golden light, trapping 2 blood souls. The 10 Class 9 soul engineers around Shu Tianran quickly scattered. They each unleashed their greatest skills to control 1 blood soul. Yi Shishui laughed coldly. Bloody light shone brightly in her eyes. Suddenly, her long hair turned blood red. Her blood soul demon puppet surged into her body and fused with her. Suddenly, she grew twice as large. The clear and transparent blood red on her body made her seem as if she was carved from a ruby. Bloody air currents surged in the air and spread instantly. Boundless blood sea! Yi Shishui screamed. The surrounding buildings were instantly vaporized when they were touched by the boundless blood sea, which began spreading outward. No wonder she was an ultimate Doluor and the strongest evil soul master in the Holy Ghost Church. Even in such a disadvantageous situation, she still managed to resist all the soul engineers around her. How confident was she? Shu Tianran roared furiously. There was a wand in his hand, which was only a few centimeters long. There was a rainbow gem the size of a fist on it. He lifted this wand and pointed it at Yi Shishui. Suddenly, a rainbow beam of light descended from the sky, striking towards Yi Shishui. This was the strength of a high-energy compression array soul tool. He had used the 4 compression array soul tools to protect the people of the Sun Moon Empire before. This time, he used this small compression array soul tool to attack. Yi Shishui didn't dodge. In fact, she couldn't dodge at all. She made a lifting gesture. Suddenly, the blood sea surged upward and turned into a huge shield. It blocked the descending rainbow beam of light. Boom! A tremendous boom sounded. A powerful shockwave immediately spread. The 11 Class 9 soul engineers immediately unleashed protective soul barriers. Along with the barrier unleashed by the soul engineers from the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion, they managed to block this shockwave and prevent it from spreading further. The terrifying explosion had just ended when a series of booms were continuously heard. The blood sea flipped and forcefully resisted the attack of the rainbow beam of light. However, those who were sharp could tell that the blood sea was shrinking. It was becoming smaller under the attack of the high-energy compression array soul tools. A grin appeared on Shu Tianran's face. Even an ultimate Doluor stood no chance against high-energy compression array soul tools. Today, he was relying mostly on the compression array soul tools. The soul engineer's main job was to protect him and the Imperial Palace. This plan to kill was considered a first test. Once it was a success, they would invest much more money into the research of high-energy compression array Sol tools. Yi Shishui was completely unaware that the Sun-Moon Empire had already pumped much more money into their research of high-energy compression array Sol tools than any other research. Kong Deming was leading the research, while 7 Class 9 Sol engineers formed the core members of the research team. The amount of resources and money that were drained couldn't be properly measured. This was the strength of Sol tool technology. Yi Shishui's figure suddenly appeared in mid-air. She was still blood red. Kong Deming instantly shifted in front of her, blocking her. They clashed. Kong Deming was flung out, his entire body shining with golden light, while Yi Shishui returned to the sky. Countless streaks of lights were aimed at her. The linked attacks were about to be unleashed. The linked attacks of the other 3 Beast Lord-ranked Sol Engineer Legions were still fine. The most terrifying one was the one that came from the Sun-Moon Imperial Sol Engineer Legion. It was a pitch-black Sol ray, as thick as a water vat. Wherever it passed, deep cracks would be left in the air that couldn't be mended. Even Yi Shishui's expression changed slightly when she sensed the power of this Sol ray. It was not weaker than the attack fired by a compression array Sol tool. The Sun-Moon Imperial Sol Engineer Legion is actually so strong? No wonder Xu Tianran dares to lay his hands on me. Thinking about it was one thing. Dealing with it was another. Red lights flashed, and 3 blood souls broke free from their restraints. They each blocked 1 linked attack from each of the 3 Beast Lord-ranked Sol Engineer Legions. Those 3 blood souls cried out tragically, but the 3 linked attacks were resisted. And Yi Shishui directly resisted the attack from the Sun-Moon Imperial Sol Engineer Legion herself. She was hit. Xu Tianran was delighted. He was fully aware of how powerful the Sun-Moon Imperial Sol Engineer Legion's linked attack was. It couldn't be resisted by a human. Even an ultimate Doluo couldn't do so. If Kong Deming was to appraise it, he would even claim that a Class 10 Sol Engineer wouldn't be able to block such an attack. If even an ultimate Doluo was helpless, perhaps only a god could possibly resist it. Was Yi Shishui dead? The bloody light dissipated, scattered and vanished in the air, no traces were left. Yi Shishui didn't even scream. But, was she really dead? Be careful. She's not dead. Kong Deming suddenly shouted. Following this, a blood soul that was originally restrained by a Class 9 Sol Engineer suddenly blew apart and turned into blood rain. Yi Shishui seemed to be reborn from this blood rain. She pressed her palm against the sky. That Class 9 Sol Engineer started to shine with countless streaks of light. They were activated protective barriers. However, a blood-red palm print still appeared at the next moment. His entire chest collapsed. He spat out fresh blood and flew back. In the air, a blood soul separated from Yi Shishui's body and devoured the avenging spirit and soul that appeared after he died. Yi Shishui's body instantly shone brightly with blood-red light. A strong wave of blood energy was sucked into her body. That Class 9 Sol Engineer turned into ash, scattering in the air. A terrifying pressure immediately rose, an intense bloody light shone in the sky. A Class 9 Sol Engineer had died just like that. Furthermore, his strength also further boosted Yi Shishui's powers. This was the terrifying ability that an evil ultimate Doluo possessed. Even such an impressive linked attack couldn't kill her. She had even exploited the opportunity to kill a Class 9 Sol Engineer. However, Kong Deming noticed that there were only 11 blood souls now. Evidently, the Sun-Moon Imperial Sol Engineer Legion's attack wasn't completely useless. A terrifying attack was unleashed next. A strong beam of light descended. A rainbow glow formed in the sky once again. It was the second attack of the compression array Sol tools. Xu Tianran's face contorted a little. Just like how Yi Shishui didn't know he was this strong, he also didn't expect an ultimate Doluo to be so terrifying at full strength. When Yi Shishui was trapped in a life-and-death situation, she still managed to so easily kill a Class 9 Sol Engineer under him. Yi Shishui groaned, and her body instantly turned blood red. When that rainbow glow landed, her entire body turned into a bloody fog and disappeared once again. After this, another blood soul blew apart. Just like before, she smacked her palm against a Class 9 soul engineer's chest. It was as if she had smacked a piece of tofu. That Class 9 soul engineer was killed just like that. His blood energy and soul were devoured. Although there was one less blood soul because of this, Ishishue's aura became stronger than before. What kind of special spell is this? Why is it so terrifying? Even though she has fewer and fewer blood souls, it's as if she's accumulating her power. This was terrifying, as no one could see where her limit was. Force the blood souls away. Force them in. Attack! Kong Deming commanded loudly. No one knew Yi Shishue's weak spot. They could only give it a go. From the start, he didn't think that they could easily kill an ultimate Dolor. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made such heavy preparations. Right now, they could only try to prolong the fight. It was only this way that they could tire her out. Yi Shishue snorted coldly, and her body suddenly turned into countless blood projections, which swept out in all directions instantly. The Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion, which was about to unleash their linked attack, lost their target instantly. It was almost impossible to lock onto her now. However, their many layers of linked defensive barriers were still very effective. They managed to block the invasion of the Bloody Lights. The Class 9 Soul Engineers within the barriers also took this opportunity to retreat to the edges of the barriers. As the Bloody Lights dissipated and Yi Shishue reappeared, the barriers shrank in. This was a unified move performed by the remaining Class 9 Soul Engineers under Kong Deming. As immense pressure squeezed in, a frightening power rose. The Class 9 Soul Engineers instantly shifted. They moved to the outer perimeter just as the Sun Moon Imperial Soul Engineer Legion retracted their linked defense. The original plan was to kill Yi Shishue in one move. Now that they couldn't do that anymore, they could only slowly drain her using their overall power. This was the backup plan. In this backup plan, the most important thing to do was to help everyone retreat. 2 Class 9 Soul Engineers were already dead. This was something the Sun Moon Empire couldn't accept. Veins were already visible on Xu Qianran's forehead. If not for fear that the high-energy compression array soul tools would overheat, he would have attacked relentlessly by now. This video will end here.